Welcome to the latest edition of Cageside Speaks. My name is 14 Fitzpatrick, and for this special one-year anniversary show, yes, Cageside Speaks is officially 1 year old as of June 20th, 2016. Admittedly, it's a little bit early. It's 2 days early or so, but it's a momentous occasion anyway because Cageside Speaks has been on the air for almost a year now. We produced many, many fine quality fan-supported podcasts for your listening enjoyment. And for today's edition of Cageside Speaks, we will be talking about NXT TakeOver End of the Beginning. Weirdest title ever. And we brought together a panel of 3 people to talk about the show. First up, making his second appearance, is Gabe.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Also making his appearance, who was on the very first Cageside Speaks show, is Kevin Green.
Hey, what's up, guys?
And finally, hopefully her internet holds out here for the broadcast, is Tonya Rogers.
Hello, everybody.
So, TakeOver End was a very interesting show. I actually finally got over to watching it last night at 3 o'clock in the morning. And there were only 5 matches on this show, which was a bit odd, because usually they have like 6 or 7 matches, and usually have a wide variety of stories, but here they didn't really have as much. It might be because of the troubles that are going on in Isengard, because you have a ton of people that were recently called up to the main roster, and so now you have a shallow talent pool. You have some very good people there, but at the same time, they're trying to bring in a lot of people in that were in the house show roster and whatnot. So you only have 5 matches, and the first one is a debut match with Ty Dillinger, the Perfect 10, versus Andrade Cien Almas, also known as La Sombra. And I wanted to get your thoughts on this first match. Let's start off with Gabe.
Well, not seeing La Sombra before, so I knew he was good because of his prior matches, and I've heard good reviews of his stuff in Japan. He's worked with Nakamura before. It was interesting in the way I think the crowd was supposed to react, because Ty was super over, and I'm pretty sure he was the heel, and Almas was the babyface. So, well, like, he almost over the course of the match won the crowd over a lot. It seemed like.
Well,
I think he helped win it over, but they wanted Ty to win.
Yeah, they wanted Ty to win, and that's one of the things that is a running theme of this show is, hello, Call to Full Sail, we meet again. And unfortunately, this seems to be a recurring problem. They keep trying to bring heels over that are obnoxious and arrogant, thinking that it will make the Full Sail crowd boo them, but instead, they like hipster gimmicks like this. They like it because it reminds them of them. So they're willing to cheer, I guess.
But he did. I liked Almas. Him going into. If you listen to his music on YouTube instead of like on there, I think they bring up like half of the stuff he did. It like every stuff he's done in Japan, because you can hear Tranquilo and other stuff in his music. Him going to the dive and then hanging in the ropes is like a total heel show-off move, but it's still pretty cool.
Well, they were starting to boo him, so whatever tactics he's working, you can turn the heel face, but if the guy wants to be heel, he's gonna pretty much stay as a heel, and that seems to what happened here in this case. So, Kevin, what are your thoughts on this match?
This is the first time I'm ever like watching these two guys. I'm in the agreement that I really didn't know who was the good guy and who was the bad guy, and it seems like they cheer for everything. But I don't know. It could be a lack of one thing I realized with the pacing of this. It just starts off with a match. Nobody gets to talk on the mic or anything to kind of establish what's going on before the match. So it was just like a straight up exhibition wrestling match. It was a pretty good match. I liked it. Yeah, you could tell that the crowd wanted Ty to win, and it was kind of an upset, I guess. But it was a great match. I liked it. Yeah.
Oh, on the part of Ty to win, I think this was supposed to be Samson's spot because he actually draws heat, but he legitimately got hurt, so he couldn't do that.
Yeah, Samson got injured at a house show. He injured his ankle. Probably is going to be out for, like, I think 3 months.
Oh, okay. So this guy was a replacement, last minute type of thing?
Yeah, Ty is basically a replacement. He's been sort of hanging around the undercard for the longest time, sort of in that co-gatekeeper spot with everybody else. And,
he's like a Zack Ryder of NXT.
More like a Tyler Breeze.
Tyler Breeze, okay.
Yeah.
But Tyler Breeze was actually upper mid card. I think he just replaced CJ Parker.
Mm-hmm. So, Tonya, what are your thoughts on this first match?
Well, I'm just going to have to say one thing to all the guys on Cageside seats who is beating up Lasombra. Oh, he's so handsome. He's so drop-dead gorgeous and all this. And I was like, then I saw him and I was like, well, he looks like a guy who thinks he's very handsome and thinks he's irresistible, but he's really a creep. And I want him to get the hell away from me. I don't think this is a case of just the cult of Full Sail or Full Sail just trying to cheer somebody ironically. I think people like Ty Dillinger. I like him. I would have cheered for him. I know him. I don't know who this other guy is who's coming out just like a pimp, stripper, and he's doing obnoxious things during the. He was doing heel things during the match. His finisher is almost like a heel finisher. So I understand Samson being injured, but you have like 900 guys who nobody cares about that you could have had that match with Almas and got him a face reaction. First of all, his presentation is all wrong. Some people want to come down on Dave Meltzer because he wants the guy to wear a mask. But this is my thing. If he was working, if he was over that way, and he was over with his audience wearing a mask and doing what he was doing, why did you need to change it? You didn't really change Samoa Joe when you brought him in and he had a name. You didn't change AJ Styles, but you're changing this Latina dude because you as a man think women will be attracted to him. That's not really how it works. I don't see women swooning all over this guy and falling in love with him. He doesn't carry himself that way whatsoever. I think WWE, NXT, whoever is crafting his character, I think it's a misstep. And to further misstep it, they put him against somebody in Ty who's very over, and it's not just in Full Sail. If you go back and watch his performance in London, I don't think he was on the main card, but they did stuff before the London takeover.
He had the match next week on.
He was over. Yeah, he was on NXT, but he was over. They were shouting 10 during other people's matches. So they saw this coming. So I'm confused by the way they're bringing in Almas. If they expect him to be cheered. Like
on Ty being over in Liverpool, he wore like the biggest rival's jersey there and didn't get heel heat. Like that's not a good thing.
No, it's not. And they've been aware of this for at least 6 months now. So I think then you roll Ty out with like a new Titantron, new video. He has on like a new entrance gear. Me as the audience, especially if I don't really know who Almas is, I'm thinking Ty is finna get a push and he's about to go over on this takeover. So I would be a little disappointed if I was in the crowd and this other guy I'm not really into comes out and beats him. Like you can't set things up against a wrestler and then look around and be surprised when what you want to happen isn't happening. They're setting Almas up to be a heel. And he's like, they put him over Ty again on NXT this week.
Yeah. I was really
So
confused by that.
I don't understand why you would, if you're looking to push this guy as a face, why you would keep putting him against somebody who's already well known to the audience and is popular and liked by the audience. There's nothing inherently heel about Ty saying, I think I'm the best, and when I'm a perfect 10. It's not anything inherently heel. He would have to then say other people are lesser than him. But if you don't like the performer that he's saying, oh, well, you're a 6 and I'm a 10, then you're going to agree with him. You're not going to be rooting for that guy. You're going to be like, yeah, he's a 10. Screw that other guy. And I think that's what's happening.
I definitely agree with you there. But the main reason that he's not wearing a mask is because he lost his mask in Mexico. And they don't want to remask the guy. And they want to... Because he was part of a big stable.
Do you think WWE cares anything about what a storyline that happened in Mexico? I do not.
Triple H really put over his looks on the Facebook after.
Triple H is a man, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he also said the reaction from the women fans.
If he's trying to appeal to straight men who like to look at other good-looking men, then there you go. If he's trying to appeal to women, then ask another woman's opinion.
He could ask his wife's opinion.
And Stephanie's attracted to him, so I wouldn't trust her opinion on a man either.
Then ask his daughters or something. I don't know.
I don't know, but
ask the women that wrestled.
This is my whole point. The only people that I've heard on the internet laud his looks and talk about how good looking he is are supposedly straight men.
Okay.
I just don't see it. I don't get it. He's not that handsome.
I mean, I can understand completely why you would think that, because the guy comes out to the ring wearing suspenders and a hat, which looks like it looks like he stole from The Godfather.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, I'm like, who is this guy?
So
that's exactly what I said.
Exactly. Like,
I mean, the only thing that was more confusing was apparently that Ty Dillinger may have taken a, I don't know, what exactly was he wearing? It looked like he had beaten up a Flash Gordon cosplayer and taken his hoodie.
I liked that. It was different.
Yeah.
It's like he stands out. It's something different. And it's like, Almas looks like somebody who was... Like management told him, here, put this on. Ty looks like a guy who went out and thought about his presentation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because he's a veteran. He's a guy that's been around the business for a very, very long time. So he's thinking of ideas like that.
Right, and I don't think Almas, has enough to say, I don't think this is going to work for me.
I think this was his idea.
Mm-hmm.
Was it? Well, let's not listen to him. His ideas.
Well, you also don't. I don't know who the guy backstage for NXT is that's helping work gimmicks after Dusty passed away.
I think it's Matt Bloom right now. Lord Albert Tensai, whatever his name is right now. That's the guy who's currently helping out with gimmicks. So.
Yeah, because Regal's doing the wrestling scouting stuff.
Mm-hmm. But he's the guy that's basically booking the stuff on the house shows. The thing is that Almas is over on the house show circuit, and he has produced great matches. The thing is with him is that, once again, we're in another situation where they're debuting a new guy, and that new guy is more suited to being a heel because of his prior history with the various stables. Because WWE recently has started trying interconnecting a lot of independent heel stables into the WWE brand. They started it with the Bullet Club, and now they're bringing Los Inaugurables into the fold with Almas in NXT, and I think they are going to turn him heel at some point. But right now, they're kind of trying to elevate. Huh?
He's already a heel.
Oh yeah, well he's already a heel.
On TV.
Yep, the fizzy logic of, oh, somebody's already a heel.
Don't they want Rush from that group too?
Rush obviously is going to be a heel. There's no way that this guy is going to be able to play a face, with the fact that the guy is one of the few wrestlers out there that can actually start riots.
He can get money thrown at him, which in Mexico is a good thing.
He also gets beer bottles thrown at him, so that's not such a good thing.
Yeah, money's fine.
Yeah.
Throw money at people if you get mad.
Mm-hmm. So, we all seem to have liked the opening match. I liked the opening match. It was probably my second favorite match on the card. Which, next up, is actually my favorite match on this card, and I was extraordinarily shocked once again that American Alpha and the Revival did an amazing job. This is a match that I would consider for maybe a match of the year candidate. I'm not as, obsessive about the whole match of the year thing compared to everybody else, but this is easily a top 10 match for me at the end of the year. I want to get your folks' thoughts on this one as well. Kevin, let's start off with you.
Oh, I'm so glad you started off with me, man. That was my favorite match of the card, and it goes to me saying I wish it was. It actually, the way the match was paced and everything, it almost had a main event feel. It was almost better than the main event to me. It would have been a great way to close the show. If it's the end, these guys are the beginning, and these two big guys with the lineage of a good manager now, it's really good. But back to the match, though, it was really, really good. I think these guys lost because they're going to be. If I'm starting SmackDown, I'll bring these guys and put them on SmackDown with and I just think I knew they were going to lose early in that match because the hot tag came in a little too early. And I was like, oh, man, these guys are going to lose. But that's just me knowing wrestling. But other than that, the match was really good. I didn't know, what fall was going to be the fall. It was just a great match. It felt like it should have been later in the card, though.
I think they wanted to get it out of the system early, the tag match, because they thought that they had free hot matches lined up later on in the card, but as we shall talk about, it didn't really turn out that way. So, Gabe, what are your thoughts on the tag match?
This was probably the best match. This was pretty easily the best match on the card.
Yeah.
They did a really good job. I love how the Revival, they borderline cheat, but they're not. They're taking quick shortcuts to get everything over. Alpha calls them out. The ankle locks in stereo were great.
Mm-hmm.
The hot tag, Jordan's hot tag's amazing. And then the finish, I liked how they did the finish too, where it was like they're trying for the grand amplitude, but they're not done enough to finish them, and they catch him, throw Gable out, and then get the double knees to the Shatter Machine, and just finish it. And then even after the match, was the best way to debut a monster heel team.
I thought that this match was extraordinarily well-paced, and I really liked that finishing sequence, because way to swerve us. We thought that for the longest time that Gabe was going to get the pin, and instead, they go after Jordan, because they had, earlier in the match, attacked Jordan's knees. So you have match psychology layered into this old-school 80s tag team match, and watching it, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. This is the kind of stuff that I watch on the regular, these old tag matches from the 80s and 90s. The match I was actually introduced to wrestling was an old match from, I think it was one of the independent promotions in Florida from 1986. And it was this old, long-paced tag match, and it was really interesting to me how they did it. And so, Tonya, what were your thoughts on this match?
Well, I love American Alpha. I hope they call them up as soon as the brand split starts. That's it. It just seems like a team of 2 stars, and it's just like watching them is electric. And the Revival, like, if anybody deserves to be the first 2-time NXT champions, I think it's the Revival, because I don't think the tag team division really took off until they started, getting in there and putting their style of matches over, and they're just great at getting heat. And it was like a perfect storm. Those two, they're like perfect rivals for each other. It's like it was awesome. It's a very good match. And I'm intrigued by the monsters. I want to see. I think they're really young too.
They're both 26.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these guys.
Limit for those guys.
These guys, they're gonna be around for a while, and just to see like the good tag team wrestling, I'm always a fan of, and I almost kind of want like that to be the write-off for American Alpha, and they just go like, we don't use them anymore, and we just take them straight to the main roster.
Yeah, I agree.
Those guys, they got together. Yeah, they got over really fast, and they don't need anything else. They're ready.
They're ready. Yeah. Get them out of there.
The only problem is then you have like 3 super over tag teams on the main roster, but whatever. Face tag team.
If they're splitting
the rosters, those guys can anchor.
I just don't know what they're doing with the tags, but nobody
knows what they're doing with anything. Not even the people that work there.
Yeah. Vince just realized he needed to fill out 2 rosters. Apparently, they're calling 40-year-old guys, but we're not.
It'll be a good way to if the New Day keep the straps, not to go into WWE. If they keep the straps and the brand split, they split. So naturally, they have to split the tag teams, and that's how they do it. I mean, that's what I think they should do at least.
I think they could do that because of the way they're developing tag teams in NXT now too. So it's not just like you kill tag wrestling. It was just the first one did.
Besides, the more tag teams that you have that are over, the better the division is.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually do secondary, thirdary matches that have very little stakes, and people will get invested into the teams because they are feuding. That's the way to start feuds, naturally. And then, of course, the Monster Team. And this was an amazing last part of the segment, because, like, I'm not the biggest fan of American Alpha. I don't like arrogant Olympian gimmicks in general. But to see these 2 massive killer monsters just absolutely crush these 2 was amazing. And then you bring in Paul Ellering, the legendary manager of the Road Warriors / LOD, and this nice, friendly grandpa and his 2 murder monsters just destroyed Gabe and Jordan.
Yeah, it gave him instant legitimacy. Like, these guys.
And they gave him heat. Like, they got heat when they came out the next time too. Like, those two guys are just some huge beefy guys that are just gonna beat people up. Like,
they should keep them down there and develop them.
Like I'm like, okay. My only thing is, I'm like, the revival of the titles. You need to put the titles on these guys quickly because it's a monster heel team, and at some point. So I feel like they'll probably do something like that and call the revival up at some point.
Yeah, turn them baby faces with that, if anything. If they go up against them, they're going to be considered. So you might not want to rush it.
Well, you could do a 3 or 4-way too, so they don't take the fall.
I see that. You're right.
That could possibly be a possibility. I mean, TM61 is another tag team in this race.
And Gargano and Ciampa.
Yeah, also Gargano and Ciampa. So you have 4 solid tag teams there if Alpha gets called up. I think with the Revival, it's very easy to turn them face because they're sympathetic to a degree. They're old working class guys that have now become this super over tag team, and they're now having to face against the monstrous opposition. And I gotta believe that when Alexa Bliss destroyed Rachel Erling, that's the reason why Paul is here. His daughter got attacked by an angry Pixie Hulk, and now he's wondering where exactly is going on here in this NXT land. So I think that the Monsters' next victims are Alexa's former cohorts in Blake and Murphy at some point.
I thought they broke up.
They might do another one of those, one-off. We'll keep doing the one-off tag teams, and the very next opponents they'll be facing against are the Monsters, the Offers of Pain.
Yeah, those two guys looked really solid in a quick squash because they threw the opponents in. They threw one of the guys. They threw they threw they used the other guy to tag the other guy in and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they just bullied them basically around and just destroyed them. Those two guys are young and they have a background where they could be pretty good.
They have a professional.
They just need to stay down there for a while to get that stuff out.
Mm-hmm. I think they're in good position right now. So, Tonya? What is your thoughts on this? The Offers of Pain.
Well, yeah, I just think they should stay down and really learn how to, like, you're going to have to work full matches eventually. So they're going to have to learn how to pace themselves, know how to, when to be monsters, when to bump for your opponents, all that. But I like the packaging.
Yeah. They're a really interesting tag team. So, next segment is a match that a lot of people had very high expectations for, and this is a match that Tonya really was. I was the only one of us that really wasn't looking forward to it. Of course, I wasn't as well. Nakamura versus Austin Aries. Now, most of us expected that Nakamura was going to kick Aries' head into the 7th row in 5 minutes. Instead, what happened is that Austin Aries controlled the majority of the match for about 10 minutes. Nakamura got maybe 2 minutes of offense in, also took a bump on the apron that made me cringe.
Yeah, that DVD on the...
Yeah, on the ringside apron. I mean, come on, guys. I know you're paying Nakamura a heavy salary here, but those bumps were kind of outlawed in Noah for a very good reason.
I mean, that might have been they might have just, like, because if you read some of Nakamura's shoot interviews and stuff, he sometimes, like, they don't really follow a script, so they could have just changed the call in the middle of the match too.
Well, I think Aries does know Japanese, so he could be able to change the call of the match like that. But
Nakamura knows English really well too.
I know, but Aries knows Japanese, I think, because he's done tours in Japan before. Yeah, this was a really confusing match. Kevin, what are your thoughts on it?
Oh, okay. Before I start, I just wanted to ask a question. Why does Austin have the DDP rib tapes?
I really have no idea. I think he may have gotten hurt on a house show, but I'm not sure.
I think he was trying to confuse Nakamura. Like he was trying to...
So he didn't do it. Nakamura didn't do it or anything. So what?
No.
Is he selling this as a legitimate thing, or?
He's trying not to get hit in the face instead of the ribs, or like have Nakamura focus on this injury. Because even the commentators didn't know. I mean, it was like a really heel move, but Aries at this point is still a babyface.
Right, but I'm
like mind games.
I'm feeling this match. I really don't know the build to it. So I mean, I knew Nakamura was gonna win, so I was just kind of waiting to see when. I like some of the spots on the match, but like I said, I didn't really know what the build was to it. It just looked like a one-off type of thing. But I think it was a cool match. Not the best on the card, and I still think Nakamura still needs some more time to get down to the WWE style. I think there's a little too much gloating, but the match could have been over a lot earlier. I think they were just doing a lot of spots to eat up the time. I think other matches should have got more time, but like you said, this one should have been over in 5-10 minutes tops. But it didn't live up to my expectations on paper. So
I mean, it turned out to be a 12-minute long match.
Yeah. It was 12 minutes. It felt like 20. Sorry.
Yeah, it felt long. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. It was.
It should have been over. Yeah, it should have been over earlier. They did a lot of things to drag it out. But yeah, that's my thoughts.
I mean, especially these. Continue, Gabe.
Oh, yeah. So on this match, one of the things that's they've done 2 face-to-face matches on back-to-back pay-per-views, basically, and both of them have disappointed in them in a way. So they really just need to stick to the simple he's the bad guy, this is the good guy.
Yeah.
Stuff, which they normally do really well. Austin Aries was really boring as a babyface. Like, or at least when he's trying to be a babyface, trying to act like a heel. I don't know. He was getting booed, but he was he was just boring me. Like, he did nothing interesting. Like, if he's a heel that taunts and does really well at that, sure, that could be interesting. But he's like basically a worse version of Finn as a babyface.
Well, you also said that he was also kind of boring. He's actually kind of boring as a heel, too. That's the problem with Aries, is that he is not really particularly good at... I know people want to praise the man's wrestling skills. He's decent at that. Problem is the character stuff. He's not really all that good at that sort of thing.
So basically, NDR?
What?
So basically Del Rio?
I don't... Del Rio's got more character than him.
Del Rio's got skills, man.
Yeah.
No, Del Rio's a good wrestler. But like, he's not the most interesting.
Del Rio is better at showing fire and passion, at least during the course of a match. Austin Aries' head is so far up his own ass to show anything except for arrogance.
Yeah, he was just like, I was just like, can Nakamura just kick his head in already?
That's my thought as well. I thought 5 minutes, please kick this guy's head in. Please end this, please. I mean, like, and people are ranking this match 4 stars. 4 stars for this?
3.5.
Here's my issue with this, with Austin Aries, period. He basically got his spot off of what he used to do a few years ago. And he might have had a moment in time where he was okay, he was good, but they're expecting him to be kind of like mid-level, what Samoa Joe is doing for the main event, because Samoa Joe has basically carried the main event since he started feuding with Finn Balor. Samoa Joe has been carrying all of the emotion, passion, all of that. And they expected Aries to be a guy to come in and be the anchor. Sort of like, I think they expected him to take Tyler Breeze's spot. The only thing is, he's just not interesting enough with the greatest man that ever lived character. I mean, that's a good tagline, but what have you shown? It's just been nothing but I think I'm the best and I'm the best and whatever. It's nothing interesting going on with Austin Aries.
Can I say something about that too? You go first.
Could Bobby Roode do that? Because I haven't watched him before.
Yeah,
but I've heard
Bobby Roode can't play a character.
Bobby Roode will be better at Austin Aries' character than he is.
Okay, that works.
Okay,
at worst, they can be a tag team. I heard they were really good at that.
Yeah, I was wondering because I know Austin Aries got his fame from TNA, and I don't really watch TNA, and I know WWE doesn't acknowledge TNA, so for that to carry over, I think the difference between him and maybe Samoa Joe is that he has achieved some sort of fame outside of TNA, so he also has, like, everybody who was CM Punk fans, like hardcore CM Punk fans, know who Samoa Joe is, so they kind of get back that audience again, and he gets that respect. Whereas Austin Aries, in my opinion, people just know him from TNA, just a guy filling a spot in TNA who's a pretty decent wrestler, but that doesn't really carry over, you know? So then I was just like, what's the build of this match? Who's the bad guy? Who's the good guy? Type of thing. But he doesn't, like, the crowd doesn't react the way I think they expected him to, as the way Samoa Joe or such. But
Aries lost the ROH title to Punk, so.
Right.
But see, the thing about Austin Aries is what I keep saying. Samoa Joe's a star. He's actually he's that good. Austin Aries isn't.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what the truth. Joe is legitimately main event WWE caliber talent.
And Austin Aries isn't good enough for the role that Tyler Breeze had.
Nope.
Because that's the role he's supposed to have right now.
Yeah, the upper mid-card guy.
Gateway to the main event, and he's just not good enough for it. I don't think he is, at least.
I don't know. I just think he's not presented right as such to have that spot. So it's confusing for a guy like me who's just a casual watcher right now, just tuning in. Like, I don't really know if this guy has any kind of advantage to win. You know, I just know, all right, Nakamura's gonna win. When is he gonna get kicked in the head? Because that's what he does. You know, I just think he needed a better job at doing that.
I mean, the one thing I will like about, to answer the point about the TNA thing, he actually was a legitimate star in TNA. He actually won the TNA Heavyweight Championship.
Mm-hmm.
He did have an extraordinarily good run a few years ago with the company. But the problem is that it's not 2012 anymore. It's 2016. The guy yeah.
Go ahead.
And you have a situation where he's trying to relive past glories, and I don't think Aries kind of understands he's much older now.
Maybe he's like Chris Jericho, maybe. You know, just there to lose.
Don't take it. I mean, Aries should not be taking any advice from Chris Jericho right now. His character has been awful.
No, I think what he's saying is he's supposed to be in the role that Jericho also is supposed to be in on the main roster.
Yeah.
I don't think either one of them is doing a good job.
Good job, yeah, exactly.
Because once somebody gets past them, they're supposed to be more over.
Yeah, it's just a feud for him that does nothing for nobody, but it just gives him something to do.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. I mean,
someone to lose to, you know.
Mhm.
Fill a match, fill a spot on the card. But not put anything over, you know?
Yeah, well, we're trying to feature this other guy, so you go out there and shine him up and make him look like he's ready for the main event.
Yeah.
But I don't think Austin Aries is good at that.
Yeah, he's not. He's not the right guy for that.
Tyler Breeze was great at that. Back when he was doing that, Tyler Breeze faced the guy, and they had a great match together, you pretty much knew this guy beats Tyler Breeze. Okay, next takeover, this guy's going to be in the main event.
Yeah.
And Breeze, even on the main roster, doing really low card stuff, makes guys look really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I don't know really what you do right now. From what I have heard from the NXT spoilers, the Aries problem might be slightly corrected, but we'll have to see where that goes. As far as Nakamura, we already know where Nakamura's going because they already did that on the NXT thing. He's going to be, oh God, facing Balor.
That's not going to be. He'll probably carry that match. Have you seen the match?
Yes, I have seen the matches with Finn Balor and Nakamura. They were decent enough matches. It's just the mere thought of, once again, Nakamura is sort of now in the role of just destroying everybody I hate or not like. Okay.
Well, then he'll face Samoa. I'm pretty sure he'll face Samoa Joe in Brooklyn. So.
That's the first person I actually like that Nakamura is facing. He destroyed Zayn, kicked him out of NXT, destroyed Riley, sent him packing, destroyed the Drifter. Admittedly, the Drifter injured himself. And then he now destroyed Austin Aries, although it took way too long to get there, as we've said, and Aries dominated the majority of the match for whatever reason, because I guess they wanted to prove that, well, this is a dream match, folks. What dream? This is a match that's in my nightmares.
Yeah, I mean, like, they're trying to, like, I would rather see Nakamura, Joe, Nakamura with multiple guys on the main roster, etc., etc.
Nakamura versus Buddy Murphy was better.
Did he face Buddy Murphy?
Yes, he's faced Buddy Murphy.
Buddy Murphy got his first name back but lost his girl and tag partner.
It's his tag partner's fault, though, that they've been losing so much. Not necessarily Murphy's fault. But again, that's another confusing story that they've been trying to tell. I appreciate that they're trying to tell it, but it's not really working out.
Hey, it's a TV storyline. At least there's something else besides just building to a takeover storylines.
Mm-hmm. Next match on the card of segments is probably the most diverse one. Asuka versus Nia Jax. Kevin, what was your thoughts on this match?
This was my second favorite match on the card, actually. I like the pacing of it. You know, David versus Goliath type of thing. Can she overcome? It was a great match. Nothing bad to say about it. I wish it. Maybe I thought it could have came on before the Austin Aries Nakamura match. I think in the card, but at the same time, it's deserving at that spot at the card. But I just think I would have rather seen that match go into the Nakamura match, kind of to bring me down because that match was so terrible. That's just in hindsight, though. But I really liked the match. Great work from the ladies.
Okay, Gabe, what are your thoughts on the match?
I came in with just low expectations because I was really not sure how well Asuka worked under. She did a pretty good job. This match ended really abruptly. That was my thing. I was like, oh, this is over? Like, that's all it took to take her down. Even granted, it was like 4 hard kicks to the face. But, like, after working a couple submissions that she couldn't get locked in.
It's a 2-hour show.
They just really made it a 9-minute match where you can work with both people to make it the best possible they could and maximize the match as well with the limitations they had. Like, it wasn't like if they made that have to go longer and Nia working top more, it probably would have been worse. But they did a really good job making that the best possible match they could, I thought. I came in with low expectations and I exceeded the expectations.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, I'm glad you liked it. Tonya, what are your thoughts on this match?
I can't wait till Bailey gets back into the story.
Everybody can't, so...
Okay. Well, I'm not really big into Nia Jax. I think she's just so limited that where they want to take the women's division, she's not. I don't see her helping unless she gets better at working longer matches. Because that's why the match went short. She can't work longer matches. She doesn't have the cardio for it. I thought Asuka was really good at covering up the fact that Nia's a bit slow. She takes longer than most people on offense. I thought it was great performance by Asuka. I love the fire that Nia Jax showed at the end. I mean, it's not much to talk about. It's just somebody to... This is the thing that upsets me, is that the women's division kind of seems on pause until they figure out what to do with Bailey. And they're not calling up any new women. They're not really featuring anyone. Hopefully they do start to feature more Carmella, more Alexa Bliss, and they bring some women who've been with the company almost a year and they haven't been on TV yet. That's really what irritates me, is that I know there's women who could be doing good work on TV, but they're not on TV, and I'm sitting here watching Nia Jax get her second takeover match. Like, I just don't think she should have been in that spot. I don't see why they took Bailey off TV. Like, you have somebody that popular, that over, and you're not going to use her for months, pretty much.
Well, the problem is that Bailey is far more over than Asuka, and they wanted to make Asuka the replacement baby face for Bailey.
Well, you do that. You don't replace Bailey while she's still there.
Yeah, but what their intention is that originally they were going to call up Bailey, but plans again have changed. And now they're stuck in a situation where Bailey is sort of in limbo right now, waiting for whatever they're deciding to do here. Asuka just isn't as over as she used to be with the Full Sail fans and with the NXT touring fans, because basically, like, their hearts were ripped out when Asuka beat Bailey, and they haven't wanted to cheer or boo her since.
And it was also made her go to sleep, not find a way to pin her. Like, made her pass out.
I still think that Asuka should have just pinned Bailey. And then they go in, Bailey trying to get back the championship. And if Asuka gets booed, then just follow that. Like, you have somebody in Bailey who's the star of the show pretty much for a year. and then you just say she's injured and take her off TV. And everybody who watches your product, this isn't like WWE main roster where everybody isn't following that closely. Everybody who's an NXT fan, pretty much, they know what's the dirt screens or whatever. They know what's going on. So of course they know Bayley's all right. So like they know you can use Bayley and you're not. So they're less enthused about the division as a whole. It has the adverse effect.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point there, Tanya.
I think Asuka would be more over, even if she was getting booed. I think there would be better reactions for the women's division if you were using Bayley.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And there's less enthusiasm because Bayley's just and she could be backstage at the show and hey, they want some Bayley, but they're not gonna get any. No, you're gonna get Nia Jax.
I mean, with Nia Jax, I can understand the situation that she's in. She's 20 months removed from a serious car accident where basically her mobility has been shot because of that. She also, I think, has had two kids, and she just doesn't have the energy to be doing this kind of stuff. The bigger problem is that they're trying to find the big monster character, and they just haven't had any form of success finding that character. But
the thing about it is that what they didn't see and what they don't realize is Asuka, despite her size, she was a monster.
Yeah, she is a monster, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And they're just stuck on size and a look.
Yeah.
And that's not often what's gonna the fans are gonna gravitate toward.
I think you saved this picture, Fizz, because you keep posting it multiple times. But you have the picture of Bliss next to Nia Jax, and Bliss is the scarier one.
She is.
Yes. Like, look at these two which one of these here is the bigger monster? And
Alexa Bliss is far scarier as a persona than Nia Jax. And I don't see why anybody, especially now she's been beaten twice.
Mm-hmm.
So
Nia Jax is the kind of person that you see who's like that distant aunt that sends cookies and crushes your grandkids with hugs. You know, she's too nice.
Yeah.
She's a nice, friendly lady.
I'd rather
come to Auntie Nia. Come get a hug.
With the way she looks, like I don't think she's not that like she's untalented. That there's not a place for her. If they could think unconventionally, she doesn't look like almost anybody they've ever signed. That's in today's wrestling environment. Nia Jax could easily be a babyface and an underdog, despite her size, because WWE doesn't usually give women who look like her opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
But Triple H loves that old school type style booking, but I think sometimes new school, the new way of thinking, you got to go with that because otherwise you're fighting what crowds want, and you get a situation where this is the least over, and I've seen every takeover since Arrival. This is the least over a women's match has been at a takeover, and NXT was the forefront of women's wrestling. So it was kind of sad for me to see it. The crowd, it was a good match. It was really good, and the crowd just was kind of okay, whatever.
We just want Bayley out there, basically.
Actually, the idea that I would have had.
I would have rather have Carmella in that match somehow, because she's more over with the crowd, or even Alexa Bliss. Just the crowd just didn't care about Asuka versus Nia Jax as much as any other matchup for that title.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing that we can take away from this match is that there seems to be a massive amount of indifference right now from the wrestling audience to these two particular individuals. What I would have done, and this is something that NXT hardly ever does, is an interference. Have Alexa Bliss interfere in the match. Have her be so angry that Nia Jax even remotely wanted to stand up to her, that have Alexa beat up on Nia. That way you slowly turn Nia face, and you can set up Alexa, Asuka, and Nia, or Bayley, whatever you want to do. That way you have something interesting in the women's division. Now, you also have two other people that are about ready to debut on this roster. For whatever reasons, and probably it's mostly due to injury, they haven't debuted Athenia yet. Now, she has a new gimmick. I believe it's Ember Moon?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, Ember Moon. And I think Sasha Banks is probably very angry and catering right now that somebody got a Sailor Moon-inspired gimmick besides her. Because she's the biggest Sailor Moon fan on the planet on that roster. And also you have one of the Tough Enough people who's actually really good. What's her name? Daria Benedino? She's got this like MMA fighter gimmick, and she's been working with Bayley on the house shows. And then you have Liv Morgan, who's basically a clone of Carmelita, who's over with the audience.
And you also have another heel you can put on TV right now, too, in Nikki Storm.
Yes, Nikki Storm. She's going to be absolutely fantastic when she finally debuts. So it's one of those situations I like to call the ebb and flow. You can have a big flow of hype and cheer and good press, or you can have it be an ebb. And you need to have ebb and flows in professional wrestling, because if you go with one constant flow of water, then the next village over is going to be completely flooded, and they're not going to know what to do. So this is a very interesting situation. The women's division, I think, is starting to bounce back on track. We got our obligatory one defense in for Asuka against Nia, who basically became a human kicking bag for this match. I thought the pacing was a little bit wonky. Wasn't exactly sold on Asuka's selling, because that's not something that's one of her strong suits. But it turned out to be a decent match.
They made it work the best they could with those two people. I think that's something they wanted to do, and they're just like, we're getting this out of the way here, instead of like holding it off any longer.
And then, yeah, so this match probably was like third or fourth on my list. And then, of course, there was the main event. Oh, boy, I am dreading talking about the main event.
This was the first time that anybody... I looked through every main event they've had. First time anybody has had 3 straight main events on a TakeOver. Owens and Zayn had 2. I think somebody else might have had 2. The only other one that had 2 might have been Zayn Neville, but it wasn't 1v1. It was a fatal 4-way and then a 1v1.
Yeah.
And maybe another one with Neville because he had a ton, but yeah, that was the first time they've had 3 straight of like the same match on 3 straight takeovers.
Can I start on this one right quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
The big one that I've always had is that it just does not seem like Samoa Joe and Finn Balor hate each other. Seems like Samoa Joe hates Finn Balor, and Finn Balor's like, well, dude, you're just a bad guy. I mean, it's just the whole feud has been off to me. Joe's been shooting hot fire, and Finn Balor's just been giving him nothing. That's how I feel. But the problem with the match for me is that they stuck to traditional WWE cage match booking. That was for 2 guys who have been at it for so long, and this cage was supposed to keep them together. And, I think Regal said it was for the protection of the audience. It didn't seem like it was a very violent match. It didn't seem like, they tried to escape way too much. And I know, like at the end, there was a part where Finn, he was trying to escape, but he might have been jumping on Joe. And I know that was the setup for the super muscle buster. I think they could have set it up in a better way than they did. It was just too much trying to escape. Too much like reminded me too much of the main roster way that they set up their cage matches, and that's why it kind of fell flat for me.
I mean, the first thing that they did in this match was a tie-up. That's not selling a blood feud. That is selling, oh, we're going to be doing a chance. Where's the chairs? Where's the musical chairs? I mean, like, what is going on here? First and foremost, I didn't buy anything that Finn was doing to Joe. At all. It was basically like Finn was bouncing around in a bouncy castle, and it wasn't affecting Joe in the very slightest. Every time he did a move on Joe, it just was like, Joe was like, excuse me? Did you just hit me? I didn't feel it. And then you have the fact that people keep rattling on about the demon. I mean, at least this time he wasn't cosplaying as any historical serial killers from London or Texas Chainsaw Massacre people from Texas, but this didn't really help. I mean, he's like clawing on the side of this fictional cage doors for his entrance. I'm like, dude, seriously, you're the least intimidating supposed monster that I've seen on this NXT roster.
He doesn't even change how he wrestles to be a demon. Like, it would probably work better if he... I've heard good stuff about him in Japan being a heel better than... It has to be better than his babyface work.
He should... I think if he's going to be the demon, he should go for more like a brawling type instead of all the like kicks and flips and stuff.
His sling blade.
Yeah, I think it should be more of a brawling type. A lot more like direct strikes, a lot more nastier moves, but he's still fancy and flipping around. It's
he's basically skinny Sheamus, Finny McBrogue.
Sheamus would kick his head off probably.
Most likely, but both of them use a kick-based offense, is what I've noticed about these two. And it's interesting to see just, like, Finn is over in Full Sail. He's, like, over. Did you, like, see, because they had because Izzy's family was over by the entrance, and, like, Izzy's trying to keep her father from tripping over the guardrail because he's barking out so much for Finn's entrance.
Yeah, that's why they never turned Finn heel in NXT, because I think he sells more merch than Bayley, but not by much. I could be wrong. It's one of those two that sells so much merch. They're not going to turn him. He's way too over in Full Sail and just everywhere in NXT.
Why would anybody be interested in Finn Balor's merch? It's the most uninteresting ever, at least to me.
His stuff from New Japan. That's the only reason I can think of. That's probably the entire reason he's over.
Possibly because of that. Kevin, what is your thoughts on the main event match that really wasn't the main event?
Yeah, pretty much, right? I just think they really played it safe until I saw that the Muscle Buster, the Super Muscle Buster. But yeah, I think they were just trying to play it safe and protected. I think that was based off the other match they had in London when he got busted open or whatever. So I think they really tried to play it safe this time, and I wasn't really it didn't really have a main event feel. It didn't feel like the blood feud. It didn't feel like the culmination of anything. But overall, I take this show for what it is. It was a 2-hour wrestling show. I didn't really know the builds going into it. But it was overall the old pay-per-view was pretty good matches. Like I said with the women's, I guess I fell for the old style, David and Goliath booking with the women's title match, But like I just know these characters from face value. So this is my second Asuka match because I watched the one before that when she won the title. So I was like, okay, this big person seems like a worthy opponent. Not knowing, who else is somebody else could be more worthy of her, you know what I mean? But back to this match, yeah, I just think they played it safe, and I'm just glad that this is over. I don't think this, could main event another pay-per-view. Like, come on now, let's see somebody else But who do you guys think Samoa Joe could face next? Because I don't really, know. Nakamura seems like the next thing. Yeah, it does look like the next. So you think that's going to be the one for Brooklyn?
Yeah. What else are you going to do for your biggest show of the year?
Yeah.
Brooklyn is August, I think, 20th or 22nd. So you have time to build Joe versus Nakamura. I think that there are a couple of opponents that Joe could work well with. I think Nakamura's one, Bobby Roode is another, and maybe give a shot to No Way Jose.
Yeah.
Yeah, No Way Jose. I mean, that guy
Okay.
just is very over with Full Sail. He's getting a really good face reaction, and this could be potentially like a good championship match for Joe and Jose to really bump up his stock. So Tonya, what are your thoughts on this main event match besides the other stuff that you mentioned earlier?
I'm just looking forward to like Joe working with someone else, because he's like, they tried to make it with him and Finn Balor be like nemesis, but it was just like
It
fell
was the
flat
most
for me.
boring thing
Like,
ever.
It's not like
Yeah.
it's not like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. They don't have
no,
that
it
blood
wasn't.
feud.
They didn't have that chemistry,
Yeah.
and I just want Joe as the champion to have chemistry with somebody, and like he's not supposed to be here to be a star. He's supposed to be like main.
He's supposed to be
So-
there. He's supposed to be there as the monster heel to put over the next babyface.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I just want him to have like, I think him and Nakamura could have that possibly,
And I think
potentially.
that's probably one thing that Joe did at the end of the match. It seemed like he actually got, instead he normally gets pretty decent face reactions, even as a heel in Full Sail, but beating Finn there, he seemed to actually get booed.
It
And-
really wasn't that noticeable. The boos weren't
Yeah.
that noticeable, Gabe.
I
I
agree.
mean,
I noticed something. It was not like, it wasn't huge.
it
So who
was
do you-
deafening silence. Kevin, continue.
Who do you think they're gonna put Finn with? If they're gonna keep him down there, or
Nakamura is
he's
the
gonna
first
get?
match that
I think Nakamura beating him will be his write-off, and I really do think Finn's gonna be on the main roster by SummerSlam. Around
Okay.
that time, I think, because there's nothing left for him to do down there.
So Finn's gonna be with Nakamura for SummerSlam, but I think the Samoa Joe Nakamura match should be more of a
No, they're gonna use.
No, I think he's gonna beat him at Full Sail.
Who?
And he's gonna get
Nakamura.
Nakamura's gonna beat Finn at
Finn.
Full
Oh, okay,
Sail.
I see. Okay.
And then around that time they'll probably call Finn up, and he might actually be on the SummerSlam card. I think he's gonna get involved with the AJ Styles and the club and all that.
You think they're gonna move those guys to SmackDown, or are you gonna think they're gonna keep them on Raw?
I think they're gonna be on SmackDown.
I think they're gonna be on SmackDown too.
Styles and Cena are reportedly supposed to be the top guys on SmackDown. So
Oh, okay.
I think that's where Finn's going too.
I think they should put American Alpha on SmackDown too, if that's their write-off. I just and maybe sneak
Yep.
back in Kurt Angle and give him the Team Angle gimmick.
yeah,
Nah, they don't need Angle.
They don't need.
they don't need Angle. They can talk well enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to watch them. I don't know what their mic skills are like, but the wrestling
They're
skills are definitely
fantastic.
top notch.
They work their characters really well.
Yeah, their act is complete.
Yeah,
They're
they
not-
looked like the match was so great. I just knew that they were money. Like there's these guys. It's the second match I watched of them, and the Revival, great tag team as well. It's like I know they were cheating, but the way they did it, they were just doing what you got to do to win the match. you
Like
know?
the Revival, they make you like them, but at the same
Yeah.
time, they still make you want to boo them during the match.
Yeah,
Like that's what you're supposed to do.
yeah.
I love their It's Wrecking Time segments. They just wreck everybody.
They have good mic work too.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Them,
Like-
yeah, they.
Are they a Dusty Rhodes creation?
Well,
So
the
they might have been.
mechanics kind of were, but that was really more Scott Dawson's
Oh,
brainchild
okay.
of just, teaming up with Dash and making something out of this old 80s tag team gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think, well, they got the titles too, just because Triple H kind of messed up the division by giving Von Villains with blue pants, and they're like, well, Von Villains fall flat
Well, actually, it wasn't a mess up. Wesley
Well-
Blake got charged with a DUI offense during their title run, and they had to drop the belts to the Villains. That's why the Villains got the belts.
They dropped it at SummerSlam, right?
At TakeOver Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I meant they could, instead of giving it to the Von Villains, they could have gave it to Enzo and Cass, but they didn't. They messed that chance.
They didn't really need it.
They didn't really need it.
Yeah.
You
They
know.
were over, like.
But you could wait in. You could have them.
Also, at the time, Enzo was nursing a knee injury, and Cass also got a knee injury during one of the tapings. So there wasn't a guarantee that these guys were going to be able to hold the belts for a long period of time. So your hand is in a position where you have to go with the Villains in this case.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
And then they didn't have a very great run, and then Triple H put it on the Revival, and it's just taken off since then.
Yeah, I mean, because the NXT Tag Team titles have never really had a solid run up until this point. They've finally, it's like year 4 or 5 in this NXT run, in this NXT cycle, and they're finally getting a solid Tag Team Championship run. Now you have, like, again, you have 4 teams that are really solid, and it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with it. So, the nagging thing that this entire show has been the cult Full Sail. Last 3 matches, as we mentioned, didn't exactly have the best reactions. Either there was random chanting or nothing at all. And, like, that's not good. Tonya, what are your thoughts on this?
I think a lot of the problems that we've been seeing with NXT are problems that are bleeding over from the main roster. So a lot of NXT call-ups haven't gone well on the main roster, or somebody, like they'll call somebody up like all of a sudden, like Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin, who like NXT were kind of developing their characters and giving them like stories, and now they're just up there doing matches and are in like aimless feuds for no reason. So, they both are. Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews both are in feuds for no damn reason whatsoever. So, like, I think a lot more caution has been taken on building acts, because once they get hot, it might get snatched from NXT and they're, you know, done on the main roster. So I think we're starting to see the main roster shenanigans affect NXT, especially with Bayley, because the real reason why they're holding her is because they wanted to bring her up, but then now they've pretty much killed the division, so it can be all about Charlotte. So why are you developing all these women when on the main roster the division is pretty much cold and dead, and Charlotte is standing on top of everybody?
Yeah, that's a very interesting point, Tonya. You know, you have a main roster division that's kind of in the rut right now with Charlotte as your champion and not really much else going on. But what else can you do? I mean, it's the greatest conundrum ever. They give women long segments, they give them long matches on the main roster, and for some reason, they're not getting over with the audience.
Oh, maybe because you're not giving the performers that are not giving as good as performers that's doing stuff like
You're putting the wrong people in those roles. Really, if they wanted to have a long-term champion that carries the belt and is the face of the brand, they should have had Becky Lynch, because she hasn't been injured or any questions about her. Like, unlike Sasha, if she was popular, they should have had Becky Lynch be the one. I know her father didn't used to wrestle forever, but she can talk, she's relatable, she's over. And they wouldn't have had to jump through all these hoops that they've had with Charlotte, because Charlotte is limited. And she can't carry the division on her own. If they wanted to have one woman to be that face of the brand, they picked the wrong woman.
Well, what they wanted was a Southern heel that could draw in the South, which they've had trouble drawing for years, and they wanted a recognizable name. I know Charlotte was one of the few that they could get, I mean, with Becky, I mean, she would be an interesting choice. I'm not 100% sold on Becky Lynch. I'm not really 100% sold on anybody except, oddly, Alexa Bliss and Bayley. Those are the only two right now that I'm really completely 100% sold on as wrestlers.
I'm
The
not sold
rest,
on. I'm not sold on Bliss on like on her wrestling skills, as her character work with wrestling is really
you
good.
don't necessarily need to be the best wrestler to get over. And
Well, she needs to
Bliss is
tune.
able to get over as a heel.
True.
Something that's a bit of a rarity now in this modern era of professional wrestling. Because everybody wants to cheer everybody for whatever reasons.
And Miz does that really well too.
Yes. Miz is off at Hollywood and is angering everybody because, like, he's got the IC belt. And when he gets back, he's in for the rudest awakening ever.
I hope they do just if this is like a 2-minute match in 1989. The Honky Tonk Man had a huge long IC run and got it lost in like a 2-minute squash match to Warrior, which was the best way to put somebody over. He could completely do that at SummerSlam.
That's a possibility there. I think they're actually going to do it at Battleground because Battleground's the next pay-per-view in July.
Is he supposed to be back?
Yeah.
By July?
Yeah, it's not a long movie.
Yeah, it's not a long movie. It's just a month.
They might just run another. They came up short or Miz cheated and do something at SummerSlam.
So, yeah, this is a very interesting, because, you know, this is a TakeOver show that a lot of people really didn't seem to like as much as the other TakeOver shows. I thought that it was maybe, you know, I thought it was a little bit better than London, but that's my own personal opinion. I didn't like the main event all that much, although thank the Lord for Emperor Joe. May his reign be long and mighty, and may he crush the souls of whoever fools want to challenge him under his foot. And somebody please give him a throne. He can really pull off the Mil Murtiaz throne thing.
Does Triple H have one hanging out somewhere in storage?
Possibly. I wouldn't use it, though. I'd make his own throne, you know? Maybe grab the one the TNA has. I'm sure they're selling
they don't have any money for it. They need money.
Yeah. Okay, so...
I think this was... I'm pretty sure Unstoppable was 2 hours.
Mhm.
This was the first takeover since Unstoppable to be 2 hours. Everything else has been scheduled for 2.5. So
Well,
they were
this
just
was a hour and 58 minutes.
2 hours scheduling block. That's kind of how I meant it.
Yep.
Like the other one, well, I think Brooklyn was 2 hours, but they just went over. They just said, "Screw it, we're going over," because it's on the network. So who cares?
Yep, it's the network. We'll do what we want with it. So let's get our final thoughts in here and close out the broadcast. Gabe, let's start off with you.
Basically, it was a good show. Only thing worth really rewatching is the tags. Did his job just dealing with everything till the brand's planned, and then just basically trying to make Brooklyn as big of a show as possible.
Okay, that's cool. Kevin, your final thoughts?
Again, as a guy just walking in and watching the show, I took it for what it is. It was a wrestling show. It was a pretty good wrestling show. It had the feeling of like those old WCW Saturday Night feelings, where the fans are just people who just happen to be at Disney World that day or whatever, just trying to enjoy a wrestling show. The matches were pretty good. I think that the main event wasn't all that, but I just think they're trying to play it safe because they got bigger fish to fry during the summer. I think it was a pretty good pay-per-view. It felt like a really long 2 hours compared to the other takeovers. I agree. And, I just think they're just playing it safe to the brand split with this one. And, the tag match was the best match on the card for me. Those guys are money.
Oh, that's really good. Tonya?
Well, I do think it's the end of NXT as developmental, like the TV product. I think we're going to see, after this rash of call-ups, I don't think we're going to see as many regular call-ups anymore. I think a lot of people are going to be NXT and they're going to be like the faces of the brand. I think they're moving towards making NXT its own brand. And they want people to get out of the, well, it's developmental type thing. I'm looking forward to more women being called up because that's why I started watching NXT in the first place. And just glad Samoa Joe is the champion.
All hail Samoa Joe. All hail Emperor Joe.
Yep.
He can keep the title till like
Forever.
WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Then put up a baby face and he can go be top monster heel and somebody do the
Yeah, he doesn't need to be called up. He could just rule the TNA world the NXT world.
You're not completely wrong on the TNA part.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, right. Oh yeah,
the
Bobby
same
Roode.
spot.
Bobby Roode. We didn't mention Bobby Roode. Who they gonna put him with? You guys think?
Joe, most likely.
Jose probably also.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it all depends on where they go, and realistically, we really have no idea what's
gonna happen.
What's going to happen?
I think the Cruiserweight Classic will help too, because that's a way they can. Apparently, they've signed most of these guys. Help introduce those people too, and just basically make good storylines. Start introducing people through Brooklyn, and then run off from there after you send a couple more people up to the main roster.
I have one quick question to ask you guys too. Sorry, I'm just gonna go off there. I wanted to know you guys' opinion about the Ricochet Will match. Did you guys watch that?
Oh, the Ricochet Will Ospreay match.
Yeah, I watched it a couple of days ago. Yeah, it was pretty good. I liked it, and I understand what they're saying, but I really just enjoyed the match as a wrestling match. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that match was pretty good.
Yeah, it was really good. Some spots I never seen before. It you know. Yeah, like I said,
think, people are just being overly cranky about that match. Let the match be for what it is.
Yeah, it was good, man. Just leave it alone. It's not, for them to say that's changing wrestling, I mean, that's a broad statement. It was just a good match,
Yeah.
Just leave it alone.
Yeah, it's the same kind of flipping match that's been seen before, but with a little bit better.
Yeah, just new guys that could flip.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently WWE really wants Ospreay, but they can't have him until after his New Japan contract comes up. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's young, so he has time to grow.
Yeah, he's 20. He's legitimately 22.
23, yeah, 22, 23, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and they already got Norm Dar, so Dar is like 22 as well, so they're already starting to pick up some guys. They've got Dar signed. They are looking at Damo. He's going to be another guy that's...
Tommy End signed.
Tommy End is already signed, and it looks like that NXT will be getting some Moose.
It's very likely they'll sign Kota Ibushi, too, who's in the Cruiserweight.
Oh, Ibushi's already signed. He's already signed in the Cruiserweight Classic.
He's signed for the Cruiserweight.
I don't think hearing about Gabe are actually short-term deals.
How many guys are in the Cruiserweight Classic?
32.
32?
32.
It's going to be a nice little tournament.
Some of them are already signed, but some of them are on short-term deals. So we don't really know until the end of the Classic who's exactly signed to the to the NXT roster at this point.
Yeah, because I think Sabre is on a short-term deal, and so is Ibushi.
Yep. So the NXT TakeOver end was a really interesting show. Most people generally don't like shows that end on a sort of a sour note, but I generally enjoyed this one. Yeah, 3 of the matches weren't all that good, and the best matches I thought were the opener and the tag match, but we'll see where NXT goes, because everything is in flux right now. You have people getting called up to the main roster, you have people debuting on NXT, you have all sorts of things going on in the world of Isengard. And then you also have the brand split to worry about. And what's that going to do? So, this has been another edition of Cageside Speaks. I'm 14 Fitzpatrick, and we will see you on the next edition of Cageside Speaks. KM Turney, is working on the Cruiserweight Classic show, which should debut on the next week or so. And also we have the Money in the Bank broadcast to focus on. and we will see you then. But until then, have a good day, ladies and gentlemen, and we shall see you next time on the next edition of Cageside Speaks on CagesideSeats.com, your one-stop source for everything in the world of professional wrestling.